Hey, Clay's coming in. Nice.
So I'm trying to be like Clay.
Are you trying to grow a beard like Clay? You got the little boy version.
Yeah.
And we got to watch for, try to get Liz in. Liz is trying here. You can help me there, make sure. Hang on, guys. Okay, guys. Hello and welcome everybody. Thursday Night Live. I'm Tammy. This is my hubby Lance. We're the Journey to Healing team. We're going to jump in and try to take everybody through a great story. We're going to change the format up a little bit tonight on these Thursday nights, and we're going to start featuring some success stories. I want everybody to start to watch and learn how much control and how much you really can control your health and turn things around. So it's just one of those things. Kevin is one of my veterans. He's one of the guys that started coaching with us early on, and he's one of our locals here too. So I got to coach with him one-on-one, and that's always fun when we can do that. But his story, his journey is nothing short of miraculous. He's done the work, not been perfect. He's had some struggles too, but he's a perfect example of showing you when you do the work and you're willing to navigate through the struggles, the success that can come out of this is just phenomenal what he's turned around. And I think Kevin might have to help me here, but I think the majority of his work and success was done in under a year. So those of you that seen his picture over on the page before and after, I always tell the little story of him. The first time he came to my house, he was afraid to come up the steps, didn't know if he would make it up my steps, but on the way out, I wasn't sure he was going to make it down the steps. So he can share some of that with you, but come on in, Kevin. We're so proud of you. Come on in, share your story, and start at the beginning and share anything you are comfortable sharing. I want everybody to be able to learn from your wins and your struggles. So come on in.
Some of you know me as just some clown, and I do. I love to live life to the fullest and have fun and so forth and so on. But this is serious business that we're in, and you guys know that, or you wouldn't be here, right? You wouldn't even think about being here if you had no health issues, if you weren't more around than you should be. The list goes on. So the quick story, well, it won't be real quick, but a lot of you or some of you may know I did 24 years in the Navy and I wasn't fat. I worked on the flight decks of carriers, man. You're constantly on the run. You might not eat for 2 days, or you might only eat one time a day. And it was garbage food for the most part, because we got boxed lunches. You didn't get to go down to the chow hall and have a real dinner. So near the end of my career, I ended up being an instructor. So I was on shore duty. So after all those years on carriers, I was on shore duty. And then I got a little bit sick with my heart, and a couple other things happened along the way. I also got Lyme disease, which was really odd. I was on 2 ships with Lyme disease. That was crazy. Didn't really even know I had Lyme disease. So that caused some problems. But then while I was on shore duty and got sick, I started eating like normal people, 3 and 4 meals a day, and 5 and 6 and 8 meals a day. And then I retired, and next thing you know, I'm 300 pounds. And when you're only 5.5 feet tall, that's pretty bad. In fact, just before I met Tammy, or when I met Tammy and Lance, I'm probably 5'5.5", and my pant size 54 inches. And those are the expandable pants. So I was yes, literally as tall as I was round, and vice versa. So that was a challenge. And yes, Tammy does tell a story where I went into their house, and I am fortunate that I live near them. By the way, we grew up in the same town, never met Lance, never met Tammy until I ended up in their kitchen. And Lance informed me later, after we had, built a good relationship, that he thought there was no way that I was going to do any good in this program or do well. That's how bad I was. That's the shape I was in. So along the way, because of some heart issues, the Lyme disease, and a couple other things, I'm on all kinds of meds. I'm living a more and more sedentary lifestyle, even though I had 3 teenagers when I retired. Um, I was on the edge of diabetes when I met Tammy and Lance. That was my last straw. The doctor said, "You come back with your blood sugar this high, Kevin, you're going to be on diabetes medicine." I said, to myself, that's enough. I'm on all these medicines for my heart. I'm on medicines for blood pressure. I don't even know what all I was taking. I'm not off all of them yet. That won't be part of this story, but I'm off of a lot of them, including some blood pressure. I never went on the diabetes medicine. So that made me happy to be able to do that kind of thing. So the thing that I'd really, really, really like to stress though is that I remember being in Tammy's house, talking to her, and said, I do know a lot about keto because I had lost I was down to like 240 at one point before I met Tammy doing keto, but I just didn't know how to do it the right way. So I put the weight right back on. I went right back to eating, improperly. I said, but I remember saying something like, I'm going to flush all that information and you tell me what to do. Whatever you tell me to do, that's what I'm going to do. Not the second guessing, not that I think that, not that I went over to Billy Joe's channel and watched this, and I watched this on TV, and I read this thing, and all this mix and match thing. I knew that didn't work. I knew that it would not work. So she told me what to do from the beginning. She told me the basics. I started doing the basics, and number one was going to the meetings. I remember I wouldn't even get on camera. I was to me, so disgusting looking. So I wouldn't even get on camera, but I'd go sit there and listen. And it was astounding hearing other people's stories. And even today, I like hearing the stories. I like listening to what you guys have to say. I like hearing the inspirational things that you're doing. I like the things that you've tried and didn't work, the things that you tried and did work, the sharing of the ideas, pick and choose what was going to work for me, but it was only from people in the group. And as soon as someone starts saying, well, I was looking at YouTube and this guy, I'd turn them off. I'm not in that program. I'm in this program. And it worked, and it worked well. That was around February of 22, February 3rd, actually, now that I thought about it for a second. By May, I had done my first fast, and genuinely accidentally. I think if you look in the book, it says you do your first fast accidentally, where you just kind of forget to eat. I genuinely forgot to eat. And then after I forgot to eat, it was like, oh, well, let's see what happens. So it was a 48. And after that 48, I did 20 consecutive 72s in a row. It's not that difficult. 72 sounds like pain. It's not. It's crazy how good you feel. But we'll talk about that later. So Tammy taught me the minimums. So I'm listening to the groups, and before long, the weight's dropping off, which was a huge bonus. The real reason I was there was to make sure I never got on diabetes medicine. The heart issues running my family, that was bad enough. The blood pressure high, my blood pressure on 2 or 3 blood pressure medicines was 135 over 90. I can't even imagine what it would have been without them. I just took mine a little bit ago, 91 over 58. Now I am still on at least one, I think it's just one blood pressure medicine, but you can see even if I wasn't taking that, my blood pressure would be pretty daggone low. And I have to
First of all,
because
did
of my
everybody
work.
hear that? Did everybody catch what he just said about his blood pressure? Like, that is huge. When you ask, things that cause long-term damage and long-term struggles, blood pressure is one of them that we need to keep an eye on. I don't care what level you're at. And to know that Kevin's blood pressure has went from those 2 numbers down that's just a win of saying how much control you actually do have over this health. You know, it's hard when people sit there and say, oh, I'm diabetic because my mom's diabetic, or I have high blood pressure because it's in my family. Yes, there can be a touch of that is hereditary, but for the most part, those things are because of choices that you're making and things that you're doing. So, Kevin, I'm just proud of you. Keep going, bud.
Well, I'm glad you said that because even if you don't know, go look it up. Type 1 diabetes, you're essentially born with it. Tough shit. Hands you're dealt. Can't help you out too much. Type 2, pretty close to 100% of being preventable and or reversible. So keep that in mind. Things that started happening, the swelling throughout my body left. It just left. I mean, I know I dropped at least 2 or 3 pant sizes just from the swelling leaving. Just, it was crazy. I always suffered with bad knees. Hardly anything worth mentioning now, except for walking my 2 Australian Shepherds every day, all those miles on the concrete. That's hard on my knees, but I get over it. In fact, my knees are so bad that one knee has 3/4 of the meniscus gone. The other side has half of the meniscus gone. And I was so fat that I tore my ACL playing dodgeball at 53 years old, like a knucklehead, or 52, whatever I was. That was my wife the whole time. You're gonna get hurt, and I'm like, yeah, no, I'm not. Oh, that wasn't fun. She was right, of course. She's always right. My wife, by the way, very, very, very smart person. How she ended up with me, I don't know. Other things, I remember the day I was sitting on my back porch, I could actually cross my legs. I took a picture and sent it to Tammy and Lance. I could cross my legs. That was nuts. Um, I could get up in the middle of the yard. I got stuck in the middle of my yard one day. I could not get up. I had to crawl over. I have a deck on a pole. I had to crawl over to the deck and struggle to pull myself up. I got down to, I don't know, who knows, harvest my marijuana or something. I don't know what I was doing, but I had to struggle to get up. And because I couldn't push myself up off the ground. Now I can do it, not a problem. We've all done the throw the arms back and throw the body forward to get off the couch, right? Right? Don't be shy. I don't have to do that anymore. I just stand up and walk away. It's just crazy. Um, I can fit behind the steering wheel in my car. Think about that one. That's huge. I'm not very tall. I had to all the time have my feet barely touching the pedal so my belly wouldn't be rubbing the steering wheel. And I can fit in chairs in public now. Go to a concert, I fit in a chair. Go to some event and they have the folding chairs out, I fit in the chairs. I don't sit on the edge of the chair and lean over to the table to eat now. I can take the chair I'm on and pull it up and set up under the table. Those are huge, huge, huge victories. And one that kind of freaked me out one day, hair is growing back on my legs for the first time in almost 20 years. I thought it was just some weird anomaly thing. But if you have your circulation back, you can have your hairs grow back too. So luckily I have all mine up here. Lance, of course, doesn't have the circulation well enough yet to get his back on his head. My blood glucose was, and I knew how to cheat the system. So when I went to the doctor, my blood glucose was at or above 120 all the time. If I didn't know how to cheat the system, I could only imagine what it would have been. Mine, I think the lowest average I've had in the last 3 years is like 83 or something like that. So I'm somewhere between 80 and 90 all the time. And Tammy and I were talking about that the other day, that even after 3 years, if my blood sugar is somewhere between 80 and 90, I still have something to get rid of. I still have,
Does everybody understand what he's saying right there? When he's saying even after 3 years of doing the work, he is still between the 80s and 90s. So when I tell you guys, that is telling you how insulin resistant his body was. So to be as clean as he is, to be as determined as he is and as disciplined as he is, his glucose is still a struggle because of the insulin resistance in his body. So even though he has lost the weight, this is why we say it is not always about the number on the scale. When he has lost the weight, his sizes went down. I mean, he's half of what he used to be, but he still has work to do for that metabolic health. So Kevin, that again, that's where I'm so proud of you for sticking through it, through all of it, that it would be so easy for him to say, I hit my goal weight, I'm good, let's go and move on, because it's just an easy win. But the real win comes in when you're doing this at the cellular level and waiting for that mitochondrial health, waiting for that metabolic health to kick in and reversing all of the damage that he's done as much as he possibly can control. So Kevin, again, it's just a walking, talking miracle that you have done it to this level, and you keep going so that you can heal that metabolic health, which is where all the win comes in.
And I want to throw in one thing too. If you guys heard all the little tiny victories he had, and he listed some of them. I know he's told me before, he says, I can just move. It doesn't hurt to move anymore. And just those things right there are going to, that I think propelled him and pushed him to the levels he at now. So that even made him go further and go harder and go more dedicated. And I'll let him tell his story, but it is so awesome to hear those little tiny building blocks that get put together to push you forward.
And I will say, as a woman standing between these two men, when we go do functions together, you guys all know music feeds our soul, and we are just music people. We love live concerts. We love live music. Kevin's one of those, he's or a threesome in that when we had the concerts and stuff. And when you see a man that went from 300 pounds at a concert, that he can sit there and thoroughly enjoy himself. And I love watching these two men be leaders, but go cut loose and have fun. And they both can do it because they feel so good. And it's just a blessing to watch and see him enjoying life again. And he gets his life back. He's not sitting on the couch, and he walks his darn dogs 50 miles a day. That is like, he couldn't walk up my steps, and now he literally walks his dogs for miles a day.
And yes, he was right. I would have bet money that he wouldn't have even tried.
Or stuck with it.
So I am glad for the first time that I was wrong, and I love saying it.
First time he was wrong. Yeah.
You crack me up. While you were chit-chatting there, I think I went under 60 with my blood sugar once, and I wasn't in the 70s very often. That's how bad we've poisoned our bodies. Badly poisoned our bodies. So I talked about the blood sugar and the blood pressure. So along the way, I ended up with prostate cancer, which is, it's bad enough, but me, I'm one of those matter of fact guys. I just move on, So I remember sitting in the urologist's office. She said, "Did anybody bring you up here, or maybe someone can come and get you?" I said, "Why?" She goes, "I'm going to tell you now. You have prostate cancer." I said, "Okay, so what do we do?" She goes, "You're not distressed?" I went, "No." I said, I already have it. I can't do anything about that. Let's see where we can go from here." And that's part of the mindset that we'll talk about later on too. But since then, and when they found the prostate cancer, they also found, and this is literally 1 in a million, appendix cancer. So you can imagine at 5.5 feet tall and 300 pounds, how much blubber was on my stomach, and where they have to go through to get to my appendix. They had to go through the blubber, right? So Dr. McDonald, I'll never forget her as long as I live. She essentially said, "You're a fat ass. This is not going to be fun." And it wasn't too far from that, what she said. So they had to go down through all that blubber, wrap the appendix, the end of the appendix from wherever it comes from, and cut it off, which probably wasn't the hard part. Then it was dragging it back through all that fat without breaking it and spilling the cancer all over the inside of me. So because I was so fat, it was a very dangerous thing. couldn't even be an elective surgery. It was almost essentially an emergency surgery to get the cancer out of me. Then I was so fat that I had to do radiation treatment. They couldn't operate on me to go cut it out. So what happened because of the journey to healing, immediately your PSA comes down. I don't remember what PSA is, but it's the number from the test that they give us for guys when you're having the prostate something or other. So mine was at the very highest level. So it couldn't have gone. They just don't read it any higher. So um, uh, that was, I think, 20 or 21. I can't remember. They had to get special permission, by the way. VA, the Veterans Administration, Wade Park, had to get special permission to allow Dr. McDonald to operate on me. Because think about what was going on then. I don't even like to use that stupid word. So my PSA about 2 years ago made it to 0.85. A couple of days ago, I got tested 0.37. When you're a man my age, for it to go down is bizarre. It's absolutely bizarre.
Does
Most
everybody
guys my
understand
age,
that? That's like the
1.5.
hormone numbers for us girls. So for him to have that go down, that's just huge. But again, that is the diligence of the work that he's doing. So again, the non-scale victories, the weight is just a happy accident, but the work that is coming behind him, that is coming up, the benefits that he is achieving by doing this is changing his whole trajectory of his health journey. So that is where, again, it is not about a number. It is not a, the weight is is the weight a problem for those of us that are obese or have had issues with our hearts and things like that? Absolutely. But you have got to take the cellular health is more important, and what he's going through and what he's achieved in that is just huge. He saved his own life.
Yes, sir, bud.
Go, Kev.
Thank you. That was very nice. I don't normally get choked up, but that did it. Thank you. So I take all that with a grain of salt. Whatever hand I'm dealt, tough crap, I just move through it. And because of Tammy and Lance, it's been a lot easier in this journey. And it's genuinely a journey, but it's also a struggle. And the struggle started literally about a year ago. I was down in Maryland. I go down there every year for a Navy football game. And I'm a Navy football fan, not because I was in the Navy. I'm a Navy football fan because of Ken Niumatalolo, who in Ohio State Stadium about 15 years ago came within a breath of beating Ohio State in Ohio State Stadium. And I paid attention from that on. That guy's awesome. They got rid of him finally after about 15 years. I never understood that. But so we started going down there. It's a weekend to eat lots of seafood. Thank goodness, because we're in Ohio. You're not getting any good fresh seafood. And anyway, so last year we're down there and I just wasn't feeling right. I was off. I didn't know how. So I eventually found out that my heart had taken another nosedive. That was the third nosedive in 20 years. But this time, and this is unusual, I don't know if you know much about ejection fraction of hearts. So my heart was working in 2002. It was working at roughly 25% or less capacity. By 2015, I got it back to roughly 40%. So my ejection fraction was 15 in 2002. The translation is around 25% or less. So 15% ejection fraction in 2002. 2014, it made it back to 40. 2015, I was back down to 15. 2021, I think it was, or 22, 20, no, 23, 2020, no, 2022, I'm sorry. So 2015, it went down to 15, made it back, yeah, it went down to 15, and then in 2015, sorry, And then in 2022, it made it back to 52%. And then I got tested in November of 23. It was back down. It only went down to 25. So it nosedived to 15 twice. And when it went bad again, it only went to 25. And then within like 3 months, it was back up to 45 again. And I attribute that to the keto style that we eat. Because without that, who knows what would happen?
Hey, Kev,
So
let me jump in for a second too. Does everybody understand the ejection fraction? An ejection fraction of 15 is critical. That's a critical ill. I was critically in heart failure with critical ejection fraction at 19. So for Kevin to be at 15, and again, here's one of those things. When I first went into this, I needed a pacemaker and defibrillator because my ejection fraction was so low. I never had the pacemaker put in, never had the defibrillator put in, and I've turned it around. And now I'm not up to normal yet from the heart attack, but I am still up much closer in a healthy range. I'm no longer in a critical condition. And again, those are just some of the things that you can control. You can do something about it if you're willing to do the work. And Kevin, again, it's just applauding you for everything that's been thrown at you. Most of us on this page and that follow us do not have an easy health journey. You know, we're not here because this is an easy, fun, drop 20 pounds to fit in our skinny jeans kind of journey. And when you hear all the obstacles that Kevin's went through, it's an honor to be with people and help them through a journey to be able to help them reverse damage, reverse the illnesses and get off the meds and have your life back. And I know the joy that Kevin lives with, and I know the life that he lives, and to be able to know that there's just a part of a journey that he has done that himself. He has done the work for that. And there's no better why in that of being able to live your life again. So when we say find your why that matters, we can all joke about it, but your why has to be deep enough to make you willing to jump through those hurdles and stay consistent when it's not always fun, when it's not always easy. And Kevin still does the work every damn day.
Yep.
I mean, it's just
he threw his backpack on his shoulders, put his boots on, and went to work.
so hasn't always been an easy journey for Kev. But Kev, if you want to, do you want to share a couple of your struggles that you had through there so that we could see how you've
yeah,
overcome
but
the
I want to
struggles
say
and
one
jump in?
thing about the heart. First of all, the type of heart problems I have, that type of thing is probably always going to happen. It's not unusual, but you don't hear about it very often. So all I'm doing really is minimizing the impact when it happens. And then my wife was told when it happened in 2002 that they gave me 2 to 3 years to live. So, yeah. But it's funny you say that because I was really close to the struggles because that's what happened in Maryland. I started struggling and I struggled a lot. And I didn't struggle in the way I'm going to describe real quick because we're all going to struggle. We're all going to want to be hungry or think we're hungry. We're all going to think we're frustrated or we can't get there or am I really doing the right thing? All that kind of thing. That's a different kind of struggle. That's the mind game. Again, we'll talk about that, later. But my struggle was a combination of things where I couldn't keep my body in ketosis. I went off the rails a little bit. If you've been around even for the short time, you've seen we have steps 1 through 12 in the book. I lived at 12 for a long time. I prefer to be step 10, 11 myself. 12 I'll go to sometimes, but that's my prerogative. I was going back to step 1 and 2 and 3 last year around this time. And I did it not once, but 4 or 5 or 6 or 7 times until I finally broke through again. And I think it was like June. Yeah, June or July, I finally broke through and I've been on a roll ever since. But it's been worth it. And along the way, by the way, I weighed around 300. I went down to around 170. I purposefully put some weight back on and I'm still at 185 and I'm going to go back down to 170. It didn't feel right at 170. So I put a little weight back on, but I think I felt better at 170 than 180. I weighed today, I weighed 186 on the nose. So, but the weight's going to come off by just eating less, which is how I put the weight on. I just ate more. But the struggles, I can't stress enough that they're going to come. Then all you have to do is restart. All you got to do is go back to the beginning if you think you need to, because I tried to go back to step 4 or 5 or whatever, and I'm like, wait a minute, this isn't working. So next thing you know, I'm all the way back to step 1, starting over. The good thing was I'd already been to 1 meal a day in step 12. So I could accelerate myself through that up to and including that again, where I could get to 1 meal a day in step 12 and get my numbers back. In
Kevin,
fact,
can I jump?
this
Can I
is,
can I
yeah,
jump
go
in
ahead.
quick? I just want to give a little shout out to the beginners right now of pay attention because he said you can always go back to the beginning. That's what laying those foundational blocks are for, because you can always go back to those basics and start again and continue to build them. If you build them correctly first, you can always go back to them and your body says, "Oh yeah, I know what that is." And you can progress back to where you need to. But those first building blocks, the basics, you never lose throughout your whole journey, because you may have to go back and look at those again. So
And
I just want to say, everybody pay attention to that.
and there will be seasons of life. There'll be seasons that you can live. Like there's seasons that Lance and I will live at that, and Kevin too, at that 9, 10, 11, 12. We'll live in that advanced area. We're in our groove. We're doing our 3-day fast, clean fast every week. You know, you just get in that momentum. And then there's a season of life. Most of you know, I just buried my brother 6 months ago. And through that season of traveling back and forth to the Cleveland Clinic and the emotional part of saying goodbye to my baby brother, you know, it's those things that when life hits like that, it's not the season I'm going to go push my body into a fast and stress it. I'm under enough stress. I just back up a little bit. We never go back to number 1. We always go back to, you know, 4, 5, 6, somewhere in there. But we still have the baseline for that chemistry to keep us moving and keep us going forward. Once that base is set, you will always be able to fall back on it. So I love, you know, I love that we have the foundation there. We know how to do it, but when we got to hit pause, you know, it's the same thing through the holidays. We are trying to get our groups ready to all the people that we're coaching. We're doing little challenges and stuff that's going to help us get through to the holidays. Come November and December, we don't jump ship. We have a nice, strong chemistry. We're going to do the best we can do, but that's not the time we're not going to fast through Thanksgiving. We're not fasting through Christmas. We're setting ourselves up for success at whatever level success means. But it's just, you learn that when you have that foundation set properly. It's just really a huge, huge difference. And Kev, we have a question for you here. Clay is one of the guys in the 21-day course right now with me with Dr. Boz. Clay's got a beautiful journey. Wait till you hear his numbers. He's a good numbers guy too, to watch his journey coming. He wants to know how your sleep has been throughout your whole life, because such a huge effect on those
So
ketone chemistry. So call it in.
this is interesting. So I have sleep apnea and I have sleep apnea bad. Losing 130 pounds did nothing to the sleep apnea. My machine is set at the highest setting there is, and I just have sleep apnea. But since I've had the sleep apnea machine and since I've been on this journey, I still only average at best 6 hours a night. And it doesn't matter when I go to bed, I'm probably up 4:30, 5 o'clock in the morning. Just, it's bizarre. So the sleep is important. The few times I've been able to get 7 or 8 hours, I've seen a jump in my numbers, but thank God for me, for me and me alone, 5, 6 hours sleep doesn't affect my numbers that bad. So
So two
the
things I
story
want to
there
jump into
is
that, Kev.
it sucks. My sleep sucks still. And I do earplugs. I have blackout curtains in my bedroom. There are no lights in my bedroom. There's no looking at this TV or the what's this thing called? What is this thing? What's this? Cell phone. None of that. So I follow all the protocols and I still just don't. Do I sleep soundly now? I sleep really soundly. So that's a great question, Clay.
And that's one of the good things. So one of the things did everybody hear what he said? His sleep apnea machine, his CPAP machine, he wears it. Oxygen in the brain is what he needs. That is what still keeps him going, even though he's not getting large hours of sleep yet. getting the oxygen to his brain is what's going to help raise that BDNF to help make ketones and get him healing in his brain. So again, he's taking a bad situation and doing the best he can do with his health. He's wearing a sleep apnea machine. He is making it dark in his bedroom. He's shutting off all these lights and everything before bed. He's not on his phone. He's doing all the sleep cleanup that everybody needs to do. And he does that. And even though he's still getting a few hours of sleep, and we want to encourage that to get more someday, we hope he will, because does everybody know Dr. Boz's sleep formula? You take the hour that you went to bed, the time you went to bed, the time you woke up, and then you subtract 1 hour for every time you woke up. I don't care if you woke up to pee, woke up because of the dog, woke up because you had hubby driving you nuts, or whatever the reason is you woke up, you take an hour off for each one of those things. And then that's the hours that count towards your healthy, good sleep to hit that delta deep sleep where that washing effect happens in the brain. So again, all those things tie together to help your health journey heal, help you on that path. All right, Kev, come back in. That was a great question, Clay. If anybody else has questions, put them in the comments.
So, you're muted, Francine, if you're talking to us, hon.
I said, go ahead, Kev. Lance keeps hitting buttons over here. So,
well, after about a year in this program, I wasn't retaining any water anymore, and all my fat cells. At least this is I always do the simple explanation to make sense. For 2 straight years now, it's rare for me to wake up. If I go to sleep at 10:30 and I wake up at 4:30, the chance of me having woken up in the middle of the night, pretty close to 0. So that helps. Yeah. You know what I mean, right, Clay? How many times you get up to pee, right? That's because, to me, that's because the water's stuck in our fat cells and it's got to go somewhere, right? I am an advocate of depends, by the way.
He's not right. Just
No.
know that. He's got issues. Come on in, Kev. Share some more struggles so we can see where all the places that you work through.
Well, so I was talking about all those struggles, and then out of the blue, it was late July and into August. Out of the blue, I start having these um, cosmic numbers. Now my blood sugar still was in the 80s and 90s, but I was having ketones of 5, 6, 4. One time it didn't read. That's how many ketones I was making. I genuinely, don't you guys do this now? Don't do it now. I just stopped taking my numbers because I could feel what was going on because I'd been done it so long. And the other night, I think it was Tuesday, Tammy says, "Yeah, let's look at your numbers on Keto Mojo." Nothing there. Well, first of all, I wasn't connected to her. I am now, but for the last 2 weeks, I didn't take them. This morning, I took them because even though I still had a lot of energy, I sensed something, it's probably back down where it was before, which it is, back into the range that we see. So the muscle memory, which is what I call it when Lance and Tammy were talking about, your body knows how to get back there. It's the muscle memory. My body remembers how to make ketones. My body remembers how to go through that process. My body's okay with 1 meal a day. And by the way, I only forced myself to eat today. That was really odd. I don't normally do that. I'm normally at least a little bit hungry by the time I eat. But today I wasn't hungry at all, but I was trying the hamburger with the sardines in between deal I told you about, Tammy. Don't do it. Don't do that.
Why ruin good meat?
Well, that's what I did. I ruined good meat. So I made a patty, and I'd already had cod liver and sardines and made them into a pate. Put that on, put another patty on top, put cheese on it. And it didn't taste bad, but you're right, because I get 100% grass-fed meat. So I ruined 100% grass-fed meat.
They all know the horror story I just went through with cod liver oil. So I'm not even jumping on that bandwagon for a long time. So you're on your own,
Yeah.
Kev.
The cod liver, I firmly believe cod liver was the reason my ketones were so high in July and August.
Mhm.
Just crazy how high they were.
And
So,
anybody
and I
watching, that is what Olivia does, that she gets that continual DBR of 4. She does it all the time, and she has her sardines and cod liver. So it's neat to see what that chemistry can do. Come on, Kev. Is there anything else you want to share on your journey? Are you good? Does anybody have questions for
no,
Kev? Come on in and ask questions. Talk to Kev. Let's come on in. Let's come on in and talk to our tribe here. Let me get these all
Angel,
done.
you're from Minerva too?
We have more Minerva people. Woohoo.
Wow.
Yeah,
If
what's up with that?
bring
A
back.
town of
If I can get the
5,000
screen back,
people, and that's 10% of your workforce here.
right? Why can't I don't know how to get my screen back
I don't
now,
know what you changed.
right? We'll try. We'll figure it out here. Hang on.
Got the view.
Hang on.
There you go.
Gallery view.
That's
There we go.
better.
I have a question for Kevin.
Come on in, Dorothy. Oh, you're muted.
There you go.
Your story almost made me cry. So I was like, um, my hat's off to you for going through all those challenges. But my question is, do you track your numbers on Dr. Boz ratio sheet, or do you have a different spreadsheet?
Oh, Kevin's
I,
a numbers
all I
guy.
do is Keto Mojo.
Keto
That's it.
Mojo. Okay.
Nothing more. I am the basics guy. I can't stress that enough. I
Yeah.
can't stress that enough. Um, in the beginning, remember I told Tammy, you tell me what to do. I'm telling you, that's what I did. That's how I was successful. I got the basics down. Now I'm a numbers guy. I run all the numbers in my head and I'm fascinated with them and all that kind of stuff. But all I do is Keto Mojo and move on. I don't even, it's rare for me even to look back. I'll get curious sometimes and say, okay, like when I was having that string of high ketones, I went back and looked at that just because it was kind of astounding, to be honest. But no, I like to keep it simple. I try really hard to do beef, butter, bacon, and eggs, and sardines or their equivalents. Um, Tuesday, I had sardines, cod livers, and anchovies was my dinner.
And
So,
I know Kevin geeks out on the process of it too. I mean, he really got into
The science.
the science of what, and actually, and not science. It's almost like like a engineering type mind of what piece that I put together, how does that affect me? If I put this piece and this piece together, how does that affect me? Or if I take this piece and this piece and move them together, how does that affect me? I mean, he went through that process. We had conversations upon conversations of how do you do this? Or why do you do this? Or, hey, I'm thinking about doing this. What do you think about that? We spent probably what, a year doing that back and forth between him and I. And
yeah.
just, it was neat to see somebody really get into the process of getting themselves healthier.
But
But
it's
at
one
the
of those
same
things.
time, it was all based on the basics,
Yes, it
just
was very basic.
fine
Yep.
tuning the basics.
And when you learn to do the basics like that, and again, I keep repeating it, but that is exactly why we broke Dr. Boz's course down into 3 levels, 3 sections, so that you can master that beginning step. And until you have it mastered consistently, not, oh, gee, I hit a day under 20 carbs. It's how many weeks have you been under 20 carbs? How many weeks have you hit your fat macros? How many weeks have you done this? And once you get that foundation established, then and only then do we move you to that next level, because that's not an easy process to do. Get your chemistry moving, and then you stay there until your body chemistry is ready to push to that next level. And that is what we love about the journey. And Kevin would walk through the steps. Sometimes he'd backtrack a little bit, but he still come back. And there's so much of it. Kevin is so right. Do not overthink the steps. We get people that go off on these tangents on, I did this and I'm out chasing this and I'm out looking at this and this many macros of this and how much protein and how many. It's keep it simple. When we give you a step, that's what you worry about. When we say get it under 20 carbs, then we'll move you forward. How much protein do I have? How much can I add? Can I eat some broccoli? Just stop. Just get it under 20 carbs. Then we'll
Well,
move. Then we'll worry about the next thing.
and sticking with the basics, Tammy's got a little bit different explanation than me, but again, I'm the simple guy. You know, it's mind over matter. If your brain says, and maybe you have that slide somewhere, I should ask you ahead of time, what your brain on heroin, your brain on sugar, and so forth. That slide, if you have it.
I
But
don't
to
know if I can bring
me,
it up.
we're now used to eating hamburgers, cheeseburgers, cheesesteaks, pizza. You get the drift, right? So our brain says that's what we need. So if we're sticking with the basics, you're slowly transitioning your brain, you know, from sugar to ketones slowly. But you have to keep doing the basic. You can't rush this process. Let's see, what year is this? 22. I was 61 when I started. I'm almost 64. Now I lived through the 60s and 70s and 80s. Think of the garbage. I mean, uh, TV dinners, processed food, and
Marijuana
the height
plants.
of McDonald's and Taco Bell and all that other. Just think of what we were doing to our. You cannot reverse that in a matter of months. It's not going to happen.
All right, hang on, guys. I'm going to screen share with you for a minute so you can see what Kevin's talking about. Now, I can't make this one big because I've done it before. When I go to it, it goes to the lecture on it. So
Oh,
let me
okay.
just share this real quick so you guys can see. The picture that he's talking about is this picture here, the bigger one here on the right-hand side. And if you can see where it is saying, wish there's a way I can make that bigger for you guys. Can everybody see it? I know it's going to be small, but no,
No, not seeing it.
I'm not seeing it. Is it coming up at all? Okay,
No,
let me
I'm
just,
seeing it.
Okay.
it says, which brain do you want? And it goes through and here's the big healthy brain, if you can see it.
Double tap and make your screen bigger.
Yeah. Okay. Doesn't work.
Two fingers. Never mind.
There
it is.
Okay. Look at this healthy brain. This is what a healthy brain looks like on a SPECT scan. Now, as we go around the circle, this is the front side here where the pink is, that's your eyeballs. So that's the frontal lobe looking down onto the brain. This is looking up from the underneath side for where the spine comes in. So if you go around here, we look at, oh my gosh, here's a 3-year meth addict. See the gray matter? Now, these are areas of the brain that are broken that are no longer working. So the spots are gray matter. 10 years of alcohol gets the little Swiss cheese effect here and all these little holes in it. 4 years of cocaine just has big old gashes and lumps and all kinds of gray matter going on it. 6 years of opiates. This is the picture that kicked me in the gut when I first started with Dr. Boz because I was on Oxycontin for 18 years. So again, when I say I'm lucky I know my name, I truly feel I'm lucky to know my name. 6 years of opiates. Look at the holes in the gray matter in this brain. Come on. 4 years of smoking. How many people do we know that have smoked for decades? Decades it is. 4 years of marijuana use.
Oh, and marijuana doesn't hurt you.
Yeah. So might mellow you out, but it's frying your brain literally. So, okay. So we go through all of this, and the caveat at the end of this is if I could bring up a picture of a brain on carbs and sugar, you wouldn't be able to tell the difference between a meth addict and carbs and sugar.
2 fingers.
So it's just when we say these things matter, when we talk about the brain health and what we're trying to do, it's mind over matter and working through the brain health and the addictions in the brain. Carbs and sugar in the brain do the exact same thing, just like meth addicts and stuff have. And sometimes I think the carbs and sugar is worse because it's socially acceptable. So you can walk around and hand your kids a Pop-Tart. You can walk around and drink a Pepsi all day. You could have a Diet Coke. You can have a pizza every day of the week. You could do all those things and nobody thinks a thing of it. Nobody looks down their nose at you. Nobody anything. But you stand up and say you're ready to eat some meat and some good fat and some eggs, and people act like you're dying. You're going to kill yourself. So it's one of those, it's socially acceptable. But when you can't tell the difference between how many years of marijuana, cocaine, or meth from a brain that has carbs and sugar holes in it, does it matter where the gray matter comes from? It matters that we have that much gray matter that doesn't work. And that is where it just, you can't be passionate enough about this to realize how much control you have and how much work you have to do to get it out to heal that brain. So
I'm going to do one thing too. I'm going to give Kevin some kudos on when he got his news for his prostate cancer. He didn't come unglued. He just says, okay, what do we do? You can do that while you're doing this. This gives you the power to be able to say, okay, what struggle am I going to have? Okay. And you can look at it and face it head on, straight ahead, no BS about it. And you know the process that's going to help. It's not definitely not going to hurt, but it's going to help. It may not fix it, but it's definitely going to put you in a better place to take on that struggle. So never forget that. I just want to say kudos to Kevin for his mindset.
And I look at it as anybody that's been diagnosed with diabetes, neuropathy, cancer, anything like that, it's putting on your suit of armor. At least you can fight with some ketones. It can give you something to fight back with, because if not, you just go down the proverbial tunnel of prescriptions and here's protocol. I'm not disputing chemo saved my life. So did I like putting that poison in me? Absolutely not. But do I feel if I wouldn't have done it, I would not be here right now with my cancer? Absolutely. So it lets you put on your suit of armor, gives you some tools to fight with while you're fighting through that treatment. And the stronger and the better you can have your health and that mitochondria and the metabolic health. God forbid you get diagnosed in a month, in a year, whatever. Having ketones in circulation, knowing how your body can fight, put you a step ahead of that diagnosis. It's not going to fix the world. It's not going to be the only answer. And sometimes you need pharmaceuticals, but it's going to give you best fighting chance and keep your body as strong. It is the one thing I wish I had known before I let them put chemo in my body. It is the one thing I would have most certainly have changed.
Yep.
So, all right, Kev, we are so proud to have you, and we love you, brother. And you know that. And I think your story is such an inspiration. So when you guys hear Kevin over on the page and see him over there, just know he is an expert in this because he has mastered it and done it. It's
his work that
it's
is
his work.
Yep.
So,
Well, Clay asked a good question here.
oh,
I have a 37-year-old handicapped son. He has Prader-Willi syndrome, and he has you know what that is?
no, why don't you
Yeah.
explain it to us? No.
It's kind of harder to explain, so I encourage you to look it up. But he's hungry 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. He cannot
1 second.
be sated.
Let's read Clay's question real quick, and then you go ahead and answer. I'm sorry, because some of the people on YouTube can't see it.
Oh, okay.
Go ahead.
How do you improve, or how did your improved health impact your kids and your wife? What was their response to you?
Nice.
So my son with Prader-Willi, he took it upon himself to ask me to help him lose weight. He too was in the 300-pound range. He's 198 right now.
Yeah.
And since you know about Prader-Willi, he's 5'10". That's completely out of, they're normally 5'2", 5 foot, 4'11", 5'1", but he's 5'10", 198 pounds. And I do have before and after pictures of him too. And my wife is making a diligent effort to do the right things. It's not working as well for her as I think she wants it to, but it's working. She's trying at least. She sees what can be done. She's got other medical issues that I'm positive that they could be partially or wholly cured with eating the way we do. So,
Kevin, can you spell what it is your son has? What people trying to check?
Prader dash Willi, Prader-Willi. And it's a syndrome, and with a syndrome, you can have one or all of the list of things. He has all of them, except he's 5'10". Just bizarre. So,
any other questions for Kevin before we move on? So, good job, Kevin. Thank you. We love you, and we are glad. Thank you for sharing your story.
Yes, we want to thank you
for letting me,
sharing
because I've never done that. That was actually nice. It felt good.
Good.
You got this, brother. So come on in. Who's a veteran here? I want some veterans to give us some stories of good news. Clay, do you want to come in and share your journey, how you've been through the week? And then Angel, come on in and say hi. We got some locals on. I'd like to say hi and meet you. Got Minerva people I haven't met. What the heck? Come on in, Clay.
All right. I'm just so you know, it's hard to tell looking at my beard, but I'm 6'3". highest weight recently was 430 pounds. I'm around 409, maybe 400. I have lost the same 50 to 70 pounds over and over, uh, doctor after doctor. I had uh, even even at 20 years old, I was 285. I could dunk a basketball. I could be dancing on the floor and do the splits like James Brown, really super flexible, was just a big, strong guy. But went to graduate school where I worked uh, night shift on the weekends and then all day classes. Got up to 335, got married 30 years ago around there. Was doing strength and resistance training with personal trainers at D1 in my late 40s and was still 360, 350. Really, really strong, had high endurance. Um, and but stopped that. Just had some family, had life happen. And then COVID happened. COVID was terrible. I was working uh third shift doing sales, and our company switched from all of our products to masks and home defense and COVID tests and those kind of things. So we were just going like crazy. Um, had been led from whole 30 or whole food, to cleaner to paleo to keto, and really saw that that was the only thing that was going to reverse diabetes. And I did believe that diabetes, I mean, I knew what I put in my body. I may lie to myself about a lot, but I never woke up and said, "Oh my goodness, how did that get in me?" I chewed every bite, I swallowed every bite. Um, it's the truth. And I was never surprised by my scale. I mean, I could tell, um, but my metabolism just continued to get worse. And the consequences of high blood sugar, and I had when I started keto, my A1C was 14 uh point something. It got all the way down to uh I believe a 5.9 or a 6, but then I started creeping back up and it's been an 8. It's uh hovered
Does
around the
everybody,
6
hang on,
and
Clay, does
7s.
everybody understand what he's saying? His A1C was as high as 14. So that puts your average glucose in the stratosphere.
Yeah.
So what that does, so Clay, tell us a little bit about your keto journey since you've been on with Dr. Boz, how it's working in the
Right.
21 day. Give
Yeah,
us some.
so in leading up to starting the 21-day metabolic kick, I got chronometer dusted off. I started counting carbs and descended from like 200 a day, followed the protocol to come down. Got to 20 or less with the goal of really 5 or less, and zero's better than uh than any number there. And just started to um add all of the components. And I've told Tammy this, it all goes together. Your body is a body, as the Bible says. And so sleep has been a huge thing. I realize, and I Kev, you kind of remind me of a lot of guys that I've known, but I just push through. You tell me I can't do it. I don't drink beer, but I say hold my bottle of water and watch, and I will at least try something to get the job done. And my wife would say, you can't just keep going. I'm like, well, who's going to do it? And I would push through. But that led me to sleep apnea. It led me to diabetes. It led me to damaging my body. I mean, a great story in the life of my family is my daughter moved to Louisville, Kentucky. Her company said, we'll have people there to unload the truck. It was a U-Haul. I pulled up. There was nobody there to unload that truck. A thunderstorm came up and we had just a few hours. So my son tells this story of how I literally picked up furniture that required 2 and 3 people to carry and held it over my head and then carried it down an alley and up a flight of stairs. And I've never been the same after doing that. And what I should have done is worked the problem um, and gotten help. And that lesson, I'm gonna get emotional. Um, that's how I'm gonna work this problem is, I can't do it alone. I need help. I need data. I need numbers. I need people in my physical circle of being that are going to ask me hard questions and keep me accountable. And I have that through a few people. I've got people through Zoom. I've got people in my church, and I mean my whole life I'm here. I came. My mother was on the pill at 39. She had 2 daughters, and she had already miscarried twice, and she gave birth to me. And she told everybody I met in my life, "Ha ha ha! He's living proof that the pill didn't work." But I know that my purpose was to be here to help. And so I ended up being a caregiver for my disabled sister, for my mother. I help, I help anybody. I cannot not help.
There's
If
one
I
thing,
can,
Clay.
yeah,
Just remember, she says this all the time, and you're just starting with us, so you probably haven't heard it that many times, as much as the rest of us. But remember, you cannot help anybody if you can't help yourself. You have to be healthy enough
right.
to be able to help people. And right now, you've pushed through that to the point that now you're starting to not be able to help people in the way that you could. So keep that in mind and let that drive you, brother. I mean, let that light a fire under your rear end
Yeah.
to do this.
And
You have been through stuff already that should make this easy peasy.
And I want to throw in
Well,
there, I want to challenge all of you in our tribe, over in our group, in our Facebook group, in our YouTube group, everybody. I want to challenge everybody in our tribe. Clay needs us all to grab his hand and not let him off the darn hook. He's done this before. He knows, he's been through the series before, and he takes care of everybody else instead of himself. And I know we all have a little bit of that in us. So I'm going to
well,
ask
and
every one of you to jump out. Every one of you to jump out. I'm going to get Clay over in the big group where you guys hold his hand, pull him, make him accountable. We need everybody to be kicking him in the butt and bringing him on. So
Watch
Well,
out.
and so and just in the last year, I had neuropathy, and it's turned into Charcot foot on my right foot. So, they told me that I was repeatedly breaking my right ankle and just not paying attention, and it happened again and again and again and again until it's totally, the doctor said, I said, my ankle hurts a little, and he said, it should, it's completely destroyed. And so I'm now having to wear, braces and shoes and stuff, but I'm so encouraged by hearing that people's bodies have healed neuropathy. I don't know if this is going to get 100% better, but I do believe, and I need a 200-pound man to jump out of me and run away and never come back. And so that's the way I think about that. Just imagine that I'm carrying a 200-pound man everywhere I go.
Clay, I
And
want to challenge you to get over in that group. I want to see your numbers every morning over in our group. That we post them every
I
day.
hate Facebook.
I know you do, and I don't care. Get your butt over there. You hate being big and unhealthy too. So,
Yeah, I
It
do.
really helps, Clay. It really does.
Dorothy, come on in and share a
I'm
little
gonna
bit.
say, because I was gonna say that Kevin will call you out. I'm gonna change my mind because I think Dorothy, Diana, and Nancy is gonna call you out just as bad as Kevin will.
We got a
Yeah,
group that care about each other. So come on in,
we're
Dorothy.
on it every morning, so we're checking out on each other.
So you got to get
Um,
over there, Clay. It's too easy. So come on in, Dorothy. Come and share and tell me how you're going to pull Clay along too.
yeah, we'll pull you along, Clay. That's what we're here for. So I have dieted my whole life. I like to say that I've been overweight my whole adult life, but that's not true. I've been overweight probably the last 30 years maybe. I did do keto in 2018, lost 44 pounds. Super proud of myself. Went on a cruise, blew it, and have struggled getting back. And I was recently diagnosed with Hashimoto's thyroiditis in March, and I reached out to Tammy, and that's why I'm here. But I'm with you, Clay. It's us that put everything in our mouth. My husband's always told me that you're the only person that puts anything in your mouth. So, you know, we're responsible for ourselves. Being with this journey with Tammy and Diana and Sue and Nancy and and Kevin and all of you that are on here every time, it really does help pull me through whenever I want to not continue. I want to be healthy. I feel probably from where I felt in January, February, and March of this year. I had a lot of symptoms of thyroiditis, and it goes from everything from being cold all the time to being swelling to having neuropathy. I probably feel 65% better already just by doing this lifestyle. So if I can do it, anybody can do it. So
Thanks, Dorothy. I love it.
I
And, you know, we
appreciate
love
everybody's support.
You know, we love having you guys. And, we all have our ups and downs. We all have our weak moments. And I think that is what we love about a tribe is they know when you're down. They know when you're struggling and not showing up. And that's where your tribe comes in. And everybody doesn't always have support at home to do this journey correctly. But here's support. You don't have to justify what you're doing. You don't have to reason what you're doing. You don't have to make excuses of why we're eating like this. We're with like-minded people. And if you understand the brain health, this is what heals your brain, is being with like-minded people and talking about it.
You got to remember too, you'll go on, once you start on this journey, it's like any other journey. You're going to have highs and lows. You're going to have hills and valleys, and you got to stay consistent and stay walking on that journey. There's not a person in here that hasn't hit a wall, hasn't hit a mountain, hasn't hit uphills, and then you cruise down the other side like nothing ever happened. I mean, it's like unreal. But you have to stay on that journey. You got to pick up that momentum to carry you through on those hard times. And it's not an easy journey. I'm going to tell you right now, there are times that it sucks. But there are also times where you feel so invincible. It's like, bring me the next thing.
We got this.
Well,
So just know.
My promise to myself was to put my numbers out there every day, because in the past, if I had a bad number because I did a cheat thing, I would just not post it, or I would not say anything, and nobody would know.
Don't post it, don't count, right?
Yeah. So
we're going to ignore that one.
I post them every day, good, bad, or indifferent.
Good. Thank you. And we love you being part of our tribe, Dorothy. I know we're getting a little bit past the hour. We're running over. Is there anybody that wants to check in tonight that has it? I know we got Danielle, got Nancy. Nancy, come on in. There's some words of wisdom coming, I'm sure.
Well, no, actually, I'm still, you were struggling like with burping the other day.
I'll do it. Here we go.
I'm constantly burping. And I just got mine today.
These are my new best friend. I am telling you guys.
Well, I don't know. I'm blaming it on the, those
sardines.
No, the other
Cod liver.
Cod liver.
I've seen that.
Oh man, my stomach has been killing me. I think I'm on the other side, but I hadn't had I hate to talk about this in public, but I hadn't had a bowel movement like I think 4 or 5 days, and I'm going back to we always told our patients after 3 days, take something, because it's been a rough going today, but
MCT oil, that'll do it.
Yeah, well, I'm not digesting that fat. I can tell just this past day.
You know what I'm going to tell you? To go back to your bone broth. I'm going to tell you. Bone broth and get your bit. And when you do the bits, start out doing a few at a time. Don't do 30 at one time yet. So you know how your system's going to react. So be careful with those two.
Yeah.
I don't know who's worse, her or the dog. She's
You
eating
know,
green.
I
She's
have to
eating out.
tell you though, Kevin.
She's
thank
eating.
you.
She's eating algae, and the dog's eating grass. I don't know what's going on.
Oh, that's funny.
What is that you're showing us?
As long as she just doesn't go woof woof.
Yeah, right.
Right. We start peeing in the yard.
These right here. These are called these. These are called algae bits. They're from a company. Let's see.
Energy bits.
Or energy bits. I'm sorry. These are actually recovery bits. But they're little bits that
We'll
are.
put the link over here. They help with the gut health. They
Yep.
help with the microbiome. We can get there. Who's asking? Francine's asking about how to do the Dr. Boz ratio with keto strips. Do you mean urine strips? Is that what you're using? Come on in and unmic.
Hi, yes.
Hi.
I have both, but I still have the urine strips. So I was wondering, can I do that same ratio with the strips?
Nope, the strips will only give you the ketones that you're peeing out. So that's, those are beginner level. When you're ready to bump up to that next level and start checking ketones and glucose, then we switch you over to the Keto Mojo, and then you take that glucose divided by the ketone, and that's what gives you that Dr. Boz ratio. But you'll get there, but we have to make sure that first steps of that chemistry shift are set. And if you need help with that, we're starting new classes every month that you can jump in. We can help you establish that. If anybody needs help with that, hang on, let me get signed in here and I'll get the link for the energy bits.
That's where we really push the Keto Mojo. That tool is very comprehensive in what it does, and it does two things really good: measures your glucose and measures your ketones. Once you have those two pieces of data, the rest is easy after that.
That's how we navigate every decision we make is through that.
Yep. And make sure if you want to get a Keto Mojo, I know right now, I think they're getting 20% off or $20 off or something like that. I can't remember, but we do have a link on our website. That would be journeytoketo.com.
And Tammy, you can show my Keto Mojo results if you want to show an example, if you've got them.
You know what?
I give you my permission.
I might do that next week.
Thank you, Clay.
Thank you. And that is how we learn. I will tell you.
Yeah, I mean, I'm thinking about it.
Yes,
like
ma'am.
today.
She's got a. I'm sorry. She was showing. Is that a Keto Mojo?
Yep. There you
All
go.
right.
Yep. Hang on.
Yeah. So like, I mean, I just started Keto Mojo like 2 weeks ago, but in our local tribe that we do on Zoom every Monday night, they were asking me, and I was able to just pull it up on my laptop and share, and people could see all the things that Tammy had showed me in the report. And I mean, it is so, every morning I put in the numbers and I look at it, and I'm just so encouraged that that I can see progress, because that's what I needed, was traction. I needed to gain a hill, get some victory, and have a place to like move forward.
Go Nancy.
Hang on.
TBR of 20 right now. Amazing. Yes, look at Kevin going, yes, Nancy.
This was mine this morning.
Oh, what? Oh, Dorothy throws up a 32.
Look at you guys are all champs.
That is so impressive.
You know what? I am going to share real quick. I want to show you guys what Clay. Now, Clay, just know this. His number, Clay was maxed out on diabetes medication, injections, everything. So please know this man's numbers, the work he has done is phenomenal. So I want you to see this. When you're in Keto Mojo, this is what I can see. For the people that I coach, you're on my dashboard. So when you check your numbers in the morning, they come up on my dashboard. So it's a whole nother level of accountability. Numbers don't lie. So here's where Kevin's average.
No,
Clay's average was 179 glucose. Average ketone was 0.8. Average Dr. Boz ratio was 317. Okay, so he's got some work to do. So that is crazy. That is tough. He's got some work he's got to do now, not slowly, let's jump in and get his feet wet in it. He needs to go now, okay? So come down here. We just came off of 3 days of sardines, and I know everybody's laughing and making fun of why are we eating sardines? When you want to see the numbers of why we're eating sardines, when you take an average glucose from 179, which Clay's was over 200. So this, just when he started tracking it is when I have it here, but his glucose was much higher. So when his glucose from 179 came down to 172, but it was in the 200s. So no, he has dropped and dropped and dropped. So his ketones went from 0.8 to 1.6. And his drboz ratio has went from an average of 317 to 106. Oh, my dog is dreaming. So
That's
it's
awesome, Clay.
like, it's just,
And
that's
I
the,
haven't. I was on long acting insulin and fast acting went away 10 days ago, and I haven't had any insulin since last Saturday.
Nice.
so
And
those are the things
it's
that
crazy.
when we go down here and look and see where his glucoses were running in over 250.
That's crazy.
And that's what this chart will show us. But look what he has done. This is what shows you he has the control of his numbers by what he puts in his mouth. Because to know that his ketones are shooting up, his glucose can drop down. And look what his DBR has done from in the 700s and 800s down to under 100. I mean, he is right down there. So it's like,
And I had glucose readings in the 350s in August.
I mean
wow.
I mean, the top number doesn't win, bro.
Yeah.
I know.
High score does not win on this game. So it's one of those, but that is just a great example to say, this is how much you control diabetes. When I mean, I get chewed up and spit out when I make that post, and I have a reel out there that says type 2 diabetes is a choice. And oh my goodness.
Always chose the easy thing.
Yep.
Yeah.
So everybody does.
I ate in gas stations. I ate in drive-through windows. I heard Mike Huckabee say, if they can hand it to you through a window and you can eat it, don't put your window down.
Right. Close your window.
Drive through. But when you can see the numbers like that and the change in that, you know the work you can do. And that, like I said, I get chewed up and spit out for saying type 2 is a choice, but I truly believe it's a choice by what we put in our body. We can all do hard things, and hard is sitting and letting him put chemo in my body. Hard is knowing that I won't be at Christmas next year with my kids. Hard is all of those things that drive me crazy and drive me. That is why I'm so insane about this. That is why I don't shut up about it. And I'm going to preach it till my last breath. You can control your health and your destiny. You do not have to sit back and say, my mom had diabetes, or my mom has dementia, or my mom has neuropathy or heart disease or whatever. Part of that may be a slim factor of what's going on. Why you have diabetes because your mama does is because your mama taught you her habits. And you're doing the same thing that she imprinted on you as a child. And now you're imprinting that on your children. So you have a direct link to your kids' future and your kids' future health, how their brain develops, how their mitochondria develop, how the cells in their body develop. You have a direct link to that, to fix that. So do it not only for yourself, but think of what you're doing for your kids and imprinting on your grandkids. I mean, most of us are grandparents by now. And it's such a journey that we can all do together and share. And it's a win. It's just take each other's hand. We're so blessed to be here with you. Does anybody have any questions for the week before we tap out? Is everybody good? All right.
Thank you all for coming tonight. Kevin, thank you for sharing your story, brother. Clay, thank you. And thank you for everybody else and their support all across all the medias we got going on. We love it. We love the interaction. We love to see people succeed, and we all pull each other up. And I love that about this tribe, this group of people. It's hits me right in my heart. So I just love it. And I love you guys. Thank you very much. And we hope everybody has a great week.
We have new classes starting out. If anybody wants to sign up, it's journeytoketo.com. Work with me, and you can go to group coaching under there, and all the links will be right there and the times that we meet for classes. So we'd love to have all of you. Also, check out the supplies link too, Lifestyle Favorites. We also have an Amazon storefront there, all the products we do to live this life. So. And if you're on YouTube watching, please hit the like button, hit the share button. And the subscribe button. So, all right, guys. We love y'all. Have a good night.
Good night.
Bye. Bye.